Hey guys, it's Project Prospect back with another video, and today we'll be doing a NBA podcast on different topics. We've decided so far on naming it Project Podcast, but if you have some better suggestions, leave them down in the comments, and other suggestions for like improving our videos and other stuff. So our first topic is our finals predictions. Brendan, who do you think is going to be in the finals this year?
All right, so I have the Warriors making it out of the West. I think they're going to sweep Houston after watching Game 1. I can't see any way that Houston...
That's a bold prediction.
I mean, is it though? If you watch that game, Houston just looks completely outmatched. When James Harden and Chris Paul aren't creating, they have nobody else who can create anything off the dribble. It's a real problem, and when you're playing a team like Golden State that has tons of creators and tons of people who can spread the floor, it's such a well-made team. I just don't see how Houston can honestly pull this out. But from the East, I have now after watching Game 2 of... by the way, we're recording this after the Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So after watching Boston beat the Cavs for a second straight time, LeBron's 40-point triple-double not even being enough to carry them, I have to go with Boston, of course, making it to the finals over Cleveland, surprisingly. Going into that series, I would have said Cleveland. But, yeah, Boston and the Warriors in the finals, and, of course, the Warriors. I think there's no question they will sweep Boston.
Yeah. Well, for the Warriors, Rockets, I don't see the Warriors sweeping them. I think the Rockets will at least steal a game or two. Like, at least Chris Paul and James Harden and somebody else. I think they can find somebody else. And because they have the random games where they go off and they just don't miss any shots. I think they'll have one of those in this season, or this series. And for the Cavs-Celtics, seeing LeBron carry the Cavs in the last round, I'm not sure if he can do it against the Celtics because they're just a much better team than the Raptors and they don't have the choke artists on their team. But yeah, I'd probably have to say Celtics just because the way they handled the Cavs, even though LeBron was doing basically what he did last series. I'd probably go Celtics, but I'm saying 4-2. Probably the same for both series.
So you're saying 4-2 for Houston and the Warriors. I mean, Houston and
the Celtics. I mean,
both those series.
The Warriors are winning 4-2, and I think the Celtics are going to win 4-2.
And what about the finals?
The finals, I'm going Warriors. I'm going Warriors no matter what.
How many games?
I'm gonna say 4-1.
4-1.
4-1. Yes, 4-1.
Interesting.
I don't think the Celtics really match up with the Warriors that well because they still have Kevin Durant.
But you think they can steal a game? You think the Celtics can steal a game?
Yeah, I think the Celtics can win a game. The Warriors, sometimes they seem to just let up against teams that they should beat easily, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Well, isn't that usually because of some random occurrence, though, like Draymond getting thrown out or Curry not being healthy? I feel like there's always some weird random thing that happens to the Warriors in their finals, but they always come out on top anyways. But this year, it seems like everyone's healthy and ready to go, especially against a Celtics team that I don't think they'll have a hard time dealing with. I can't see a scenario where Boston wins a game. I mean, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think the Celtics can win. I feel like in pretty much any finals, I can't see teams getting swept. I feel like they're always going to put together at least one game where they all just give it their best effort and they come out with at least a close win. I don't see the Celtics getting swept, especially with how well they're playing right now. Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. I think Houston's a better team than Boston, and I have the Warriors sweeping Houston. So I guess my logic goes, if they're going to sweep Houston, they have to sweep Boston. But maybe you have a higher opinion of Boston or Houston than I do.
Yeah, I think I just more expect the Warriors to not finish off every team as quickly as they should, especially like the better teams in the first couple rounds.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments, like what your finals predictions are.
Yep.
So, moving on to the next topic, we saw that DeMarcus Cousins unfollowed the Pelicans on Instagram or Twitter, one of them, and I guess that matters now. I guess it's like an actual indication. I don't know.
Serious stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna pretend that this actually means something.
Yeah.
So, if Boogie leaves the Pelicans, or they, like, whatever happens, he doesn't re-sign with them. He's unrestricted free agent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if he leaves, where do you think he could end up? Like, where do you think would be the best place, if any?
I'm not sure where he will end up, but I will say I don't think any team, considering let's forget about the Achilles injury for a second, because that's the biggest concern. But Cousins has been known to have an attitude. He's been, like, a lot of people think he's one of those players that you just won't be able to win with. And seeing how well New Orleans played with Nikola Mirotic, who filled in for him extremely well, but also like how they really didn't skip a beat without Cousins, I have a feeling a lot of teams are going to be hesitant to sign him. And mainly because of that Achilles injury, because we all know he's super talented and a lot of GMs would take him. But I'm guessing he's going to have to sign on a 1-year deal. I'm not sure if it's going to be a max deal. I'm not sure if teams can get him for less because of all the reasons I just named. But that's going to be a really interesting free agency to watch.
Yeah, especially if he wants to go to a contender, which I'm guessing he does. They most likely won't have enough money to, like, be able to afford him on a max contract. So he might, if he wants to play on a good team, like a team with an actual chance, he may have to take less money. Like similar to what Carmelo had been going through, like, in the recent years, where he would have to take less money to actually be on a good team. But yeah, that Achilles injury probably will scare a lot of teams away, especially if they were considering giving him that amount of money. But personally, I would want to see him go to like obviously I'd want to see him like go to the Cavs or a team that's lacking a big man but actually has a chance. But there's no way he's taking that little amount of money. But yeah, I'm not sure where he ends up. He may have to re-sign with the Pelicans, since they seem like the only team willing to take him right now, since he's already on the team.
Right. Well, it looks like, I mean, and again, we're probably reading too much into social media is what we basically have to do nowadays. But if you want to read too much into what he did, then it doesn't seem like going back to the Pelicans is an option, at least at this point. I mean, things can always change, but
he does seem pretty emotional, so maybe someone just made him mad and he just unfollowed them. He's going to refollow them the next day. But
yeah, that wouldn't be surprising.
This will be a very interesting free agency. A lot can change this next coming off season. All right, continuing on, we have another
NBA drama.
Yeah, more NBA drama. So Dennis Schroder allegedly said that he's getting too old to be on this struggling Hawks team. Yeah, the same Hawks team that has the number 3 pick in this draft. So, I mean, they have some potential. But do you think he's justified in, I guess, asking for a trade right now?
Absolutely not. When I heard this rumor, or this whatever it was, when I heard Dennis Schroder was potentially looking to leave the Hawks because he thinks he's getting too old, I had to go look up his age, and he's 24. That means at minimum he has 6 good years until he hits 30, and even then he'll probably be a very good player after that and a contributing player to a good team if the Hawks became that good or wherever he is at that point. Besides that, he has at least 6 years for the Hawks to add quality players in free agency and through trades. And that's besides the fact that in this draft, like you said, they have a top 3 pick. And this is a loaded draft, by the way. I mean, of course, you probably know that because you watch our videos and you see like how great these prospects really are. They're going to get a stud with the 3rd pick. He's going to have an excellent teammate to play with. Not to mention the Hawks did a great job drafting John Collins last year, who I think everyone agrees was a steal. Just a year or two ago, the Hawks were a really good team. Or was it a year or two ago? I think it was. Whatever. The point is, they've been a really good franchise. Like, people probably don't realize this because, like, people forget things, but the Hawks have been a productive like winning franchise for a long time. Dennis Schroder happened to become a star at like a pretty bad time for him, but this idea that like he's too old, I mean, holy moly. I can't say what I want to say, but you get the picture. I mean, he's 24. Like, so, I mean, what do you think?
Well, personally, I mean, I don't mind it as much because, like, if I was on the Hawks right now, I'd want out too. Like, I'm not trying to lose my whole career. I don't want to end up like Carmelo. So, I mean, if he's willing to leave and I guess take a pay cut, like, he's got to show that he's willing to win. He can't just say, I want to be on a better team, because he has to be willing to sacrifice to be on that better team. But personally, if he shows it, like he's willing to take pay cuts or whatever, I mean, I won't have a problem with it. If he just wants to get traded to be on a better team and then he tries to play selfishly or whatever, or like plays like Westbrook, then yeah, I'll have a problem with it then. But I mean, if I was him, their situation is not that bad. Like, at least they have a pick. They're not the Nets, so they may end up improving.
I see what you did there, and I don't appreciate that. But continue.
They may end up improving in the next couple of years. So,
I mean, how many years has he even been a star? Is this like his second year, his first year really being recognized as like a top point guard? I feel like even like last season he wasn't like recognized.
I don't even know if I'd consider him a star right now. He's sort of just like a young talent that's like, he's playing well, but I don't know if he's a star. Well, he's still like putting up good numbers, but I don't know if he's a star. I don't think he's in the position to be demanding a trade. I don't think his value is that high.
Well, that's part of it too. I mean, what are you going to get for Dennis? All right, so let's say like they want to do Schroder this favor and they want to send him out. I mean, what does he think he's getting for himself? Does he think so highly of himself that the Hawks are going to land some like superstar? They're going to get like a lottery pick? I'm sure he doesn't care. That's probably not a concern of his. But I mean, he averaged 19 points last year on 6 assists, 3 rebounds. Like it's a good stat line. He's a good player, but it's like you're not even like. I think you're right. He's not even good enough to be making demands like this. I mean, you're playing on arguably the worst team in the league. You didn't even put up 20 points for him. You're not even Devin Booker. Devin Booker, who's someone I don't even really like that much, but he's at least content being the best player on a bad team, at least for now. But he puts up better stats than Schroder does. He puts up almost as many like assists as he does. I think it's 5 per game or something like that. To Schroder's 6. He puts up more points. But I mean, I when I heard this, I was just like, "You're Dennis Schroder." I mean, what?
Yeah, don't disrespect him.
No, and as a Nets fan, I've watched Dennis Schroder play like multiple times, and I can confidently say I think he has a really bright future in this league. But I mean, you're 24, man. Like, make this your team. Like, make the Hawks want to build around you. Continue to get better. Because if you get better, the team gets better. If you can build with that young piece they're about to draft, that could help you attract a free agent. You could be good, and you could be like in the top 5 in the East in like a few years. I don't know. It's just I find it ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't really fault him for wanting to win, but yeah, that's just the position he's in right now. Speaking of teams with a lot of potential to get better, we're going to be talking about the Suns and the comment they made, I think, earlier this week. Or last week, I'm pretty sure earlier this week, about offering Clint Capela the max deal. So we were just thinking about this. I don't know why this popped in our head, but if the Suns were to take... Oh, so first of all, we just want to say we think DeAndre Ayton is far and away the best player in this draft. Like, you can go back and watch our first prospect breakdown video.
Link in the description.
Like, I don't know how you can watch that and not believe that he is the number 1 prospect, but knowing that, if I were the Suns, that sounds funny right now. If I was the Suns, am I saying that right?
What?
If I was the Suns. If I were the Suns.
If I were the Suns, I think is the right way to say that.
If I were the Suns. Oh, God damn it. I kept saying that like 30 times in a row. All right, I'll just cut this out. Okay. Because it's only like 7 minutes long. All right. If I were the Suns, I would consider taking Doncic with the number 1 pick and taking the chance that we actually sign Clint Capela in free agency and just hope that no one else offers him a max deal. So, yeah, if you were the Suns, would you consider it, or would you just take DeAndre in straight away?
I'm struggling with this question a lot because, like you said, I think and you think, we all think, hopefully, that DeAndre Ayton is by far and away the best prospect in this draft. And the Phoenix Suns were blessed yesterday with the number 1 pick and no BS, lowering their draft stock. Clint Capela is obviously a really underrated player. I think everyone knows that too. But I think at this point, if I'm the Suns, I think about our hypothetical roster. If you draft Luka Doncic and you sign Clint Capela, the theoretical starting lineup would be Doncic, Booker, Josh Jackson. Maybe you even start T.J. Warren, in a small lineup, or hopefully Marquise Chris or Dragan Bender improves for power forward, and then you'd have Clint Capela at center. The dynamic of Doncic and Capela and the pick and roll and how creative Doncic is with his passing could help make Capela a better player, obviously. Although, he knows plenty about that, playing with Chris Paul and James Harden. But, he'd be such a great fit with their defensive deficiencies. And that team, hypothetically, would be monstrous, potentially.
Yeah, we think they would, easily compare with the Philadelphia 76ers. They'd have just as much potential, we think, as the 76ers do right now. He said the lineup, that's a very young and talented team right there. And I could see them battling it out in the finals eventually at some point if this actually happens. If it doesn't and they just take DeAndre with the first pick, they're still on track to be one of the best young teams in the NBA.
All right.
Yeah, probably second only to the Celtics, but...
Yeah, nobody's probably competing with the Celtics for being the best team, but Phoenix would honestly go... If they could even take Capela from the Rockets, because that's a serious question. I'm not even convinced the Rockets would let him go even for a max deal. Yeah. But, that talk about returning a franchise around in one offseason. You get a guaranteed all-star in Luka Doncic. You keep Devin Booker, and Clint Capela is arguably the best defensive, just like, the rebounding defensive center, the prototype in the NBA, and the seamless fit with those finesse players that Phoenix has. DeAndre Ayton's amazing, and I really think he's going to have a terrific NBA career, but, that duo in Doncic and Capela is, I'm enamored with that.
Yeah, and that'll definitely help out the Suns' defense, which we all know Devin Booker struggles mightily with. But
right,
yeah, I really hope that happens. And if I was the Suns, I would at least consider it. All right, so next, we started making our own personal big boards just to compare, just see where we place players, and we had a big difference in where he put Michael Porter, where I put Luka Doncic. I had Doncic at number 2, and you had him at 5, I think.
I had Doncic at 5.
Yeah, and I had Michael Porter at Doncic at 2, and Michael Porter was at 7. No, 6. He was at 6. Yeah. So, this basically comes down to our different perspectives on drafting players. I'm more safe, probably, in comparison to you. You're more potential driven.
Right.
And so just explain why you take. Why you would go after Porter over Doncic.
All right, so second pick. I want to make one thing clear really fast. I know people when they hear this might think, but they're big board, and this is just what they think. And see, we don't have a hive mind. We do disagree. We do when we make these videos, we have long discussions about their grades and what we think they're good at, and our different ways that we watch tape. We do disagree, and we have to find a middle ground oftentimes. And don't get me wrong, we agree about a lot of things, but we don't always agree about everything. So if you're confused looking at our big board thinking, but they have this player this high, so they must agree. Sometimes you make compromises. So anyways, Getting back to the question, Actually, I forgot the question. Would you like to repeat that?
Yeah. Just explain your philosophy with drafting.
Oh,
Going for potential.
Right. So, here's what I'll say about that. My philosophy for drafting, at least in the top 5 or 10, not maybe overall, because once you get to a certain point in the draft, it definitely changes for me. But especially in this draft, and if mainly I'd say if you're a top 5 team, you got to go for the home run. You need to get that LeBron, Kevin Durant type of esque player that's going to carry your franchise. To me, taking a guy. So, obviously, he has Doncic second, I have Porter first. The reason I take Porter first is because he has the potential to be that franchise-carrying player, whereas Doncic, his floor is the highest in this draft, maybe besides Ayton. I think you could argue Ayton's a guaranteed stud. But
Yeah.
Doncic, at least at the guard position, he's a guaranteed all-star, in both of our opinions. But I think that might honestly be where it ends with him. And if I'm picking second overall, I'm not taking a guy whose floor and ceiling might be high-end all-star and low-end all-star, which I think might just be Doncic's floor and ceiling. I mean, if he really scratches the surface of his ceiling, he'll be James Harden, but I don't see that happening. So
yeah,
for me, I have Porter. Like I already said, I have Porter second because to become a championship team, you got to have that player. There isn't a team in this league that can get by. The Celtics team, for example, they're a great example because they just don't have that guy. So no one's going to pick them to beat the Warriors. Even though they have a great team, they have a team full of B-listers. True. They have a team full of the Luka Doncic's, and I could argue. A lot of second best player on your team, Dwayne Wade to the LeBron James, and they have a bunch of those guys, but no one's picking them because they don't have a Durant or a LeBron. Even in the first series, people picked the Bucks because they had Giannis, and I know they were wrong, and I'm sure you're about to point that out, but. But that's normally the team with the best player wins. The Cavs beat the... Actually, no, the Warriors beat the Cavs last year. But okay, the Warriors are an outlier because they are insane. But all right, I'm gonna let you get in.
Yeah. All right. So my philosophy is more if I can get a guaranteed All-Star, which we think Doncic is, I would more likely take him than try to go for Michael Porter because his bust potential is much higher. Personally, I don't think Doncic will likely be the number one option on the team that could lead them to the finals or whatever. But I feel there's a chance, and if that doesn't happen, you're still getting an all-star. So if that happens, especially in this draft, because next year's draft is probably going to be not as loaded, but it's going to still be a very deep draft. At least the top 5 will. So you take Doncic, and you're a guaranteed all-star. Most likely, if you're taking in the top 5, you'll have a pretty high pick next season. I don't think Doncic is carrying you that far. I don't think he's impacting it that much that he's taking you out of the lottery or anything. So I think you get a guaranteed all-star, and then you take another player next year. Maybe you swing a little more for the fences if you have a lower draft pick, mid-lottery, then you can go for the high potential. But if I can get a guaranteed all-star, I think I'd take him. Especially when he doesn't have any injury concerns like Michael Porter does. Or the one area that Michael Porter scares me is his ball handling. It seems a little shaky. It doesn't seem like it's on Giannis, KD, LeBron's level, Ben Simmons. So that's the one area that I think separates him or lowers him from KD or LeBron or whatever.
All right, so I have a couple of problems with your approach though. You say Doncic isn't good enough to make you a playoff team or out of the lottery his first year, and I agree. I don't think he's
not by himself.
He's not going. Okay, yeah, he's not going to do that. Of course, his first year, but in your scenario, you're picking number 2. So let's say, I don't know if it has to be the Kings, but any team picking second, if they take Luka Doncic, Doncic will be good enough his rookie season that I definitely think he moves you into at least the 7 to, maybe 11 range. He should have that much of an impact. I think he will be rookie of the year. I think we said this in the video. He'll average maybe around 17 points. I forgot what exactly we said. But he's going to have a huge impact year 1 and maybe be the best player on this team year 1. So then you said if you take Doncic, you can swing for the fences next year with that lower pick. But aren't you less likely to find like a superstar? Like the farther in you go to the draft, don't you want to pick that guy with the second pick? And then,
well, yeah, but I feel like Michael Porter has too many question marks for me. His potential is definitely KD, but I really don't see that happening because his ball handling like scares me. All the contested jump shots he took, at least in high school, like he doesn't take very high percentage shots, and it's high school, so they're not contesting him as well. So I don't know. I'd rather take the safe option. I feel like Michael Porter is very, very risky. He's at least the most risky player, like in this top 6, I'd say top 7 probably.
yeah, and
He's got the highest potential, but he's the most risky, and I feel like whiffing on a number 2 pick can really mess your team up because you'll see all the players that you missed out on, like I don't know, Donovan Mitchell. I know he wasn't in the top, whatever, but I don't want to whiff on a potential all-star and end up with nothing, and then go into the next draft and then swing for the fences and potentially miss again. I'd rather get something this year and then hope that we can develop him into an all-star, like turn him into like a James Harden, which Luka can be if he maxes out his potential, like you said.
So just a few things too. First, a while back you mentioned how with this, so you take Doncic, and in the 2019 draft, you said it was deep. You said that you could potentially get like a superstar in that draft.
Yeah.
Is there any player in the 2019 draft that even compares, like skill set wise, like that has the tools of like Michael Porter, like the 6'10", 230 maybe pounds with the. I mean, I know you said his handle was shaky, but for a 6'10" kid, I think it's pretty good. And the jumper and that offensive potential, I don't think there is. I mean, RJ Barrett is a natural like shooting guard, small forward who is going to be a stud.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah. I mean, I don't think there are any players with like that KD potential. But still, if I can get Doncic and get another like second tier all-star level player, I think that'll put my team in a much better position than like a 50-50 chance. I don't even know if it's that high. Like a 25% chance you hit on Michael Porter.
Yeah, but what does getting those two 50-50 players even do for you, though?
I think that helps you build towards what the Warriors built. You get two of those 50-50, two of the potential all-stars. They have other draft picks. Like most teams could probably get like a end of the first round, second round. Potentially turn that into a starter or high quality starter, because there's always like a gem in every single draft. And if you get lucky with just one of those and you already have your two like tier 2 players like Doncic and I don't know, a Cam Reddish next year, I think that'll put you in a great position because there are gems all over the draft. And I feel like chances are if you can identify at least one of them and you already have those two tier 2 players, then you're looking in great shape.
So you want to bet on just getting lucky that a player you think is really good later in the draft happens to become the next like Steph Curry or Draymond?
More like a Draymond. Yeah, also, since you're on, like, you're probably the GM of one of these like bad teams, you're going to have a lot of cap space. And players would probably want to play with the next like up and coming super team. Like the 76ers, like how LeBron's actually looking at them because they have young talent now. So I think that would help you attract more talent, especially with like Luka Doncic, like a point guard that actually passes the ball around, like that Lonzo Ball type.
I don't know. I mean, that theory makes sense, but then you consider, you got to remember the 76ers were absolute garbage up until this season, and they had to pay even JJ Redick $20 million on a 1-year deal just to get him to like go there for the season. And now obviously he ended up loving the decision, and he's talked about wanting to resign since then. But they
didn't really have any reason not to give him that money. They weren't going to spend it on anyone.
Well, no, but the point is, like, nobody was clearly signing up. They had all that cap space, and nobody was clearly signing up to play for the 76ers at that point with all their young stars.
Well, I don't think there was anyone really that available And JJ Redick, like if you don't spend that money, it's just gonna sit there. So there's no point not signing him to a 1-year, $20 million contract.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Nobody saw how good Ben Simmons was this year and how much Joel Embiid improved from last season. And after seeing that, now people, I don't know how true the LeBron to 76ers rumors are, but I don't think you would have saw that last year at all. And now you're seeing it because you're seeing how nice Ben Simmons is and how good Embiid is.
I mean, yeah.
And they also have Markelle Fultz who didn't even play.
I mean, there's a chance now that everyone's seen Ben Simmons and Embiid play that they might consider them more. But I would also consider the fact that, like, I think anyone paying attention knew that Ben Simmons was going to be a stud, and Joel Embiid was considered a really high-end prospect, as well. So, I mean, especially, at J.J. Redick, and not to crap on J.J. Redick too much, but it took $20 million to just get him to sign a 1-year deal.
I don't think it would have taken that much, but I think they're in the position of, like, if we don't spend this money, what are we going to spend it on?
So they just you're saying they gave him charity?
Well, I mean, there was really nothing else out there for him to get besides JJ Redick. Like, you're just going to sign, like...
Well, it's always safer to keep the money, though, right? I mean, in case, like, an opportunity arises randomly, you have the cap space.
I feel like you just sign up JJ Redick with whatever it'll take. And I feel like JJ Redick knew that they would offer him whatever. I don't think they value Redick at $20 million.
I think they just needed a solid shooting guard because they wanted to compete this year, and that's the cost it took to get him. But, I mean...
Yeah, there were no other solid shooting guards like him, though. So you might as well overpay for him for 1 year. It's not really going to hurt your team.
Well, all right. But I also wanted to quickly mention, though, like, Porter... See, to me, Porter is also different because... Actually, well, I guess I already kind of mentioned, like, the tools are different. I also... Oh, yeah, and just quickly, some of the criticisms... Like, we talked about this, obviously, before we started the podcast, but some of the criticisms you had of Porter, I think, are correctable at the NBA level. Like you said, his handling isn't as good as the LeBrons and all that. Well, I wouldn't expect it to be, considering he hasn't even played one game in the NBA yet. I definitely think he has time to tighten up the handle. Defensively, there's some concerns there, but, like, once again... Like, that's definitely, especially with his size and athleticism, he can work on that. And the shot selection thing, I mean, great players take contested shots. I mean, I'm not, I mean, yeah, if he misses those shots, then he's not a great player, but that's kind of more of like a wait and see, if you get what I mean. So, like, yeah. The only thing that really concerns me, and the one thing that really is kind of driving him down my list, especially considering all the bust potential he already has, is the back injury. Which, yeah. I mean, his own doctor, I mean, I can't believe it. At the time, I was laughing my butt off when I saw that headline. But his own doctor said that he'll probably never be the same, player he ever was. Or he'll be, 90%, or I forgot what the quote was. It was hilarious, though, because he basically... probably hurt Porter's draft stock a lot at the time. So, I mean, that's
true.
Sorry?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's something I like. That's the one thing where I'm like, I think Porter's going to be a star. I'm not really concerned too much about it. Like, he came back mid-season, so it proved maybe the back injury wasn't as bad as they expected, or he's just a super athlete that can recover from injuries like the Adrian Petersons of the world. But, yeah. I mean, I'll wait and see on that. But I can't fathom, because could you imagine being the GM that passes up on Kevin Durant, how stupid you'd look? Even if you take Luka Doncic, let's say the Kings take Doncic and the Hawks take Porter. Doncic might make you look smart by being a multiple-time All-Star in his career, but if Michael Porter surpasses that and becomes a tier 1 player, I think it's just going to be such an obvious thing looking back. You got a 6'10" wing with guard skills. And that's basically what Kevin Durant is in an elite form. I just can't pass on that combination of talent. But we've probably been talking about this for too long. So I guess let's move on to our Rookie of the Year predictions, or who we think it should be. Actually,
yeah.
We both agree it's Ben Simmons, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's as clear cut as can be. I don't... Personally, I'm not a fan of the co-Rookie of the Year award. It just doesn't make any
That's
sense.
horrible.
Because it's like rookie of the year, not rookies of the year.
This ain't a
I mean, that
participation
shouldn't even be an option.
trophy.
Yeah, we don't do participation trophies in the NBA. But the rookie of the year is supposed to be given to the best rookie, as far as I'm concerned, right? As far as like I know.
Yeah.
So
that's the most productive rookie.
I mean, I understand the argument for Donovan Mitchell, like he carried his team or whatever, and I guess that. But you can just tell by watching, Ben Simmons is just the much more talented athlete. Like he does everything for that team. He handles the ball. He plays great defense, mostly because he's like 6'10", guarding 6'1" to 6'2" players.
Yeah, that helps a little bit.
Yeah, that helps a little bit. And he's super athletic, able to pass the ball ridiculously well. The one area he's lacking is a jump shot. Other than that, he's close to perfect. And then, yes, Donovan Mitchell's a great scorer, but I mean, he doesn't do as much as Ben Simmons does. And even the scoring part, he's a better scorer right now because of the jump shot, but I mean, I'd give it a Ben just because he checks off so many more areas.
Yeah, and this isn't to minimize the accomplishments of Donovan Mitchell or Jason Tatum, but Ben Simmons is my clear rookie of the year as well. He's like you said, he's the most complete player. Maybe not saying he's the most complete player. He's the best overall player among the rookies. And I know, and I want to shoot something down really fast. There's a lot of people I've been reading in the comment sections and on Twitter saying Ben Simmons isn't a rookie. Yeah, he is. The NBA rules are pretty clear on this. He didn't play a game as rookie. Well, the year he was drafted, I guess.
Yeah.
So he is a rookie, and if you want to say, well, he had a year of development, well, great, but he also was hurt that entire year. So you could argue maybe his development was even stunted. I mean, I'm not going to make that argument, but I think you could. But anyways, I mean, yeah, like you said, Simmons, amazing passer. He still averaged almost 20 points without a jump shot. He's versatile, good defender. Like, Donovan Mitchell is a terrific player, especially in the playoffs. I mean, he really showed how great he's going to be.
Yeah, he did.
And if you included the playoffs, you could make a legitimate argument for Mitchell. But this is also a regular season award, and people have to remember that. So, yeah, Ben Simmons all year long was everyone's clear rookie of the year. He racked up triple doubles, at least a few of them, and I mean, yeah. Jason Tatum, real quick. I mean, don't want to discount his rookie season. He was terrific as well for Boston. He progressively got better to the point now where even in the playoffs, he's putting up 20 points per game. Like, it's incredible what he's doing for Boston. But it's still not Ben Simmons.
It's crazy how, although, like, I'm 100% sure Ben Simmons, rookie of the year, both of the other rookies, Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, they both played better than he did in the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. Would you agree? That they played better in the playoffs than him?
Mitchell.
It seems like. Tatum.
Sorry, I kind of blanked for a second. Yeah, did they play better?
I think they both showed out more than him. Like, he did, or maybe it's just because I'm used to Ben Simmons, like, being Ben Simmons. So when he put up, like, I think it was like 16 points, 6 boards, and like 8 assists or something in their last game, like, I wasn't like that impressed.
Am I crazy, or did Ben Simmons average a triple-double in the Heat's playoff series? I might be insane.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I was mostly thinking about the second round.
See, and I know that's the argument.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he
well
did.
in the first round, yeah.
Okay, see.
I'm not sure if he averaged triple-double, but he played well.
I'm going to have to look
But I think Donovan Mitchell outplayed him in the playoffs. And Tatum's showing that he's like an all-around scorer, like Carmelo Anthony type scorer. So, yeah. And if there was a playoff rookie of the year, then I feel like there'd be a lot more, like, consideration. But
it is interesting how for some reason we don't include the playoffs in the rookie of the year voting, because I mean, you would think that's the most important time of the year and they should get a lot of consideration with that. Okay, so he didn't average a triple-double. He averaged 18, 10, and 9.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Which
it must just be the Ben Simmons being nice all season that made me think that he wasn't.
Not to mention 2.4 steals as well, which is pretty great. And then in the Boston series, he averaged 14, 8, and 6. So obviously a little bit down. Who had the best play? That's an interesting. I like that question. That's a really interesting thing to think about.
I would probably put Donovan Mitchell first, just because he carried them more so than I think Ben Simmons did. And then I'd say Tatum after Ben Simmons.
I think
he doesn't have to do as much.
See, Simmons had the best regular season, but you could definitely argue the way that Mitchell and Tatum finished Mitchell finished his season, but Tatum's not done. The way Mitchell finished his season, like carrying the Jets, 30-point performances in the playoffs, clearly being their go-to guy, and then Tatum just doing what he's doing throughout this playoffs, beating the Cavs with the Celtics and all that. I mean, it really goes to show how ridiculous these rookies are, by the way. But, I mean, I'd have to go with Mitchell just because of the way he carried his team in the playoffs so impressively.
Yeah, true. I actually have another question I'd like to add.
Okay.
Which draft do you think is going to end up being deeper this year or next year's draft? Because this year's draft, as we all know, was very good with you got Marco Fultz, although he didn't play. We still think he's going to be a stud.
Oh, yeah.
We have Lonzo, Lauri Markkanen showing out, Kyle Kuzma coming out of nowhere. This was a very good draft.
Oh, it was amazing.
How do you think they'll stack up? Obviously, I think the star power in next year's draft's probably much bigger, but
all right.
What do you think?
So one thing to remember, I think, about this year's draft was that even though this was Ben Simmons' rookie year, I think a lot of people are going to remember this as the Ben Simmons, Mitchell, and Tatum year. But technically Ben Simmons was drafted the year before.
Yeah.
So when we consider which draft was better, you have to remember even though Simmons was a rookie this year, he wasn't actually part of that draft.
Yeah, that'll change it a lot.
What?
Yeah, that'll change the results a lot. I just put him in this group.
Yeah, see, I think a lot of people are going to forget about that. And that's not to say this draft isn't great without him. I mean, you still have Mitchell, Tatum, Jackson, Smith, all these rookies played so well, Markkanen. But if you're asking me this draft or next year's draft, this might sound crazy, but I think I'm going to go with the 2018 NBA draft.
Yeah, I'd have to go with 2018 too. Their star power is just way bigger. I feel like this draft may end up being deeper with the second and third tier players, but the first tier players in the next draft, the top 5 or 6,
the top 10 even is you could argue they're all going to be stellar.
Yeah. The fact that Marvin Bagley is getting overshadowed in this draft is crazy.
The fact that
he would go number 1 in any draft.
Oh yeah, I mean the fact that Marvin Bagley might not be the best big man on his own team.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a kid that was hyped up to be an NBA superstar for the last 2 or 3 years maybe. So I mean when we did our Wendell Carter breakdown, one of the things that really stuck out to me was just this draft is so good that this generational talent that you said would go number 1 in almost every draft might even be overshadowed by his teammate.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Crap. No, this draft is loaded. I mean,
it's loaded. I don't even know that comparison to this past year's draft. When you actually look at who's available, I don't even think it's close. And this draft was really good.
No, this draft was great.
It's just gonna be ridiculous.
But I don't think I've ever been more excited, especially after watching all the film of these guys. I don't think I've ever been more excited to watch a rookie class than next year's. I mean, the best European prospect ever, a generational talent at center. Maybe the next KD and Michael Porter. There's so, and the headlines. I mean, everything is going to be so crazy. I can't wait to watch these guys.
Yeah, in some drafts, at least the first half of the season, Trae Young. We're gonna talk about him a little later too, but he would most likely be going way higher than the end of the lottery, which we have him going. But yeah, this draft is just way too deep. It's at least 7 deep of what we think are like almost guaranteed all-stars, which is like Bamba, Carter, Porter, Jaren Jackson, Marvin Bagley, Luka, and obviously DeAndre Ayton.
And there's still more guys after that. And if you really like them, you can make a case for it. In this draft, and it sounds crazy after watching last year's rookies, or this year's, whatever you want to call it, like rookies and how great they were. But it's true. I mean, everyone should be really excited.
Yeah.
Fun times ahead.
So we both aren't very as high on Trae Young as a lot of other people are. I've seen a lot of people putting him in their top 5, which I think is just ridiculous. Like, he's not even... Nah, you can't... I don't know who you're putting him ahead of in that top 6. So, yeah, that's just crazy to me. I don't even think he's the best point guard in this draft. But, yeah. Do you have any... Like, what's your reasoning for why you think Trae Young won't be successful in the league? I already heard it, but I want to hear you say it.
I don't think Trae Young's even a lottery talent, and I'm just gonna come flat out and say it. I mean, there's many reasons. I think his shot selection is terrible. I think his defense is an abomination. I don't think he's athletic enough to really get past, like, to at least consistently beat the athletic and physical guards of the NBA off the dribble. I know people like to point to his passing and shooting ability, and they like to say,
which is
Steph Curry.
Elite.
It's so. You know what I think? I think the comparisons to Steph Curry are lazy. I think people see
they are.
Yeah, well, if you watch the guy play, he doesn't even play like Steph Curry. Yeah, he takes long threes, but even Steph, I feel like Steph Curry stopped doing that like 3 years ago. But like, I mean,
nah, Steph still does it. It just doesn't get as much pub.
Does he?
Because, yeah.
I don't know. I guess he does. Maybe not as frequently.
Yeah, probably not as much.
I swear every day on SportsCenter there'd be like a highlight of him like shooting a crazy long three. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. But Trae Young. See, Trae Young's the type of player. I remember Anthony Bennett's draft. He would have gone probably first in that draft. That's how bad that draft was. And that's a testament to how strong this draft is, by the way, really. Because it's not that Trae Young can't be successful. I just don't think he's as nearly good of a prospect as everyone else thinks. But I really want to get flamed for this in the comments. So if you guys... I know you guys disagree. I know for a fact everyone loves Trae Young. So please, I want to argue with you guys. Leave your comments. And Cameron's going to maybe do his best to defend Trae Young, but I know he doesn't feel that strongly about him either.
Yeah, well, the areas we differ with Trae Young is, I know you don't think he's like as quick as I do, but when watching this kid, it just seemed like nobody could stay in front of him like at all. And that's why he was drawing so many fouls, which is another part of his game that I don't think people mention enough. Like, he can get by people very easily. Like, he has great handles and he's very quick. But when he gets to the hoop, he knows that he struggles with finishing. That's why he has a very nice floater, and he makes sure to get into the body of the defender to draw fouls. And he's so little that if they touch him, he flies, and the refs call the foul. And the other area where we differ is, I don't think his 36% from 3 is indicative of how good he is. Is indicative of the skill level of his shooting. Like, you see how far he shoots from and how many shots he attempts per game and how he's like their primary option on offense. The rest of their team was terrible. So if he wasn't shooting, they weren't scoring. So he had to make sure he got shots up. So I think that definitely hurt his percentage a lot. And I feel like at the next level, he won't have to worry about carrying a team, especially going like mid-lottery. So yeah, I think he'll have a lot more open looks. He'll be able to show off his passing ability. And I think he'll be able to draw fouls as well, because he seems pretty good at shielding the ball with his body, despite his lack of athleticism and length.
Okay. So I have to ask then. I mean, all of what you said could possibly be true. It's not that he isn't quick. I just don't think he's got elite quickness. I don't think using his poor teammates is a good excuse for taking 40-foot heaves, like contested half the time, just dumb shots all the time. Like, if he's quick enough, like you said, to get by players at will, to get to the rim, and he's so good at drawing fouls, like, why? I mean, why all the dumb shots? But I want to skip all that for a second.
I think it's just his early season success made him think that those were good shots for him. But you continue.
All right. Well, I mean, he had plenty of time to adjust, but I wanted to ask. So based on what you said, it sounds like you're pretty high on Trae Young, but on your big board, you have him at 11 and below Colin Sexton, I believe. So why is he outside of your top 10?
All right. So I think that although I think he's great at all those, his defense, his on-ball defense it's terrible. His off-ball defense is okay, but it doesn't save his defense at all. Like, he's still able to get in the passing just because he's quick and whatever. But Lonnie Walker, I see with a much higher potential than him. I feel like he'll be a huge steal, and I don't think he'll go, like, top 10. But I feel like after the season begins, like, midway through the season, everybody will have wished they took him earlier. And I think Colin Sexton is just a better overall prospect than him. Like, Trae Young's bust potential, don't get me wrong, is very high. Mostly because if he can't shoot as well as I think he can, like, it's over for him. Like, it's a problem. But Colin Sexton, his jump shot is okay. It's not great. He attacks the rim like a madman. Like, reminds me of Russell Westbrook. So I don't have a problem. I don't have any concerns about him there. He's not little like Trae Young is. Like, Trae Young, they list him at 6'3". I'd say more like 6'1". Yeah, I'd say more like 6'1", and he's not like built. Like, Colin Sexton's got meat on him, so
right.
I'm not worried about him getting like banged around or whatever. And Sexton just seems like he has way more like passion, and I'm not worried about him like working hard to succeed. And obviously I think he's taller, even though they're listed at like the same height. But
right,
yeah, and he's got longer arms. He's just built more like an NBA point guard than Trae Young is. Trae Young has the skill, but he doesn't have the body or like the vertical athleticism at least. So that's why I have Colin Sexton going above him.
Yeah, so and this kind of like when you started talking about their body types and stuff, it brought me back to what you said about how Trae Young likes to go into the body of defenders, how he's like, good at drawing fouls. One of the things I forgot to mention as a concern is like you said, he's not strong. He's not built like a Colin Sexton, and I wonder if since drawing that contact was one of his biggest strengths and getting to the free throw line was one of his biggest strengths in college, will trying to do that in the NBA wear him down? Because, like, let's face it, at his size with his strength, seeking out contact is just a bad idea in terms of like injuries, and that's not even mentioning fatigue. I mean, he's a well-conditioned athlete. I mean, he's 19 and playing basketball, but if he's running into screens all day, which I'm sure he'll run into more screens in the NBA as that will try to exploit his horrible defense, but and then he's also trying to like run into people and run into the ginormous players that NBA teams deploy in the paint. I wonder about the injury, the likeliness of him picking up an injury or two, or just getting worn down by the fourth quarter, because he just doesn't have that. He just doesn't have the bulk. Like Colin Sexton, like you said, don't get me wrong, I also have Colin Sexton rated ahead of him because of some of the reasons you listed. Sexton loves to seek out contact, and I think that's a strength. For Trae Young, I'd almost argue it's a weakness, because Sexton can handle that. I know Sexton has the tenacity and the toughness to deal with like all the bumps and bruises that comes with playing a physical game. I know he has the body type, and like I know that's how he's gotten this far. I know like the physical game is like what makes him special. For Trae Young, I think that's a huge concern. I mean, could he do it? Yeah, sure. But like guys like Steph Curry, even though Steph Curry's gotten stronger over time, he's got he doesn't seek out contact. He plays with more finesse, because I think partially. I mean, so even see Steph Curry was like actually injury prone. So if you want to compare Trae Young to Steph Curry, I mean, there's that too. But Steph Curry doesn't seek out contact because he knows it'll get him tossed, and I'm sure, playing with finesse just makes sense for players like that.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a concern for him, and that's why he's not as high. But I have him over some of the other prospects. I don't want to reveal my whole big board because we're saving that for a little later, but. I have him over them because I just feel like his mix of really good playmaking, shooting ability, and potentially driving. Like, if he can get stronger or utilize his floater more, he really needs to work on a mid-range pull-up jumper. He hasn't really shown that at all. And that'll be huge for him at the next level, like using screens or whatever. But, yeah, that's why he's outside of my top 10 right now. But if he could, his defense is pretty much the biggest problem. Like, you can be, like, 6'1" and still play good enough defense. But he just hasn't shown that yet. But, hopefully he'll improve that. But I still think I would definitely take a outside middle of the lottery pick with him, just because the potential he has to become good, or like really great actually.
He's Steph Curry or he's Jimmer for that, and that's just how I feel about him. And I don't think
that's just disrespectful.
Call it whatever you want to call it, and I don't think he's Steph Curry. I'll just leave it at that.
Jimmer for that couldn't pass the basketball. All right,
yeah.
That's. I feel like that's the big difference between them. But I don't know if Jimmer Fredette played defense. Pretty sure he couldn't.
I'm pretty sure he would. Yeah. Probably. I mean, it's probably pretty racist to assume that, but whatever. It's probably. But, come on, guys. It's a pretty safe.
Yeah, we're getting demonetized. Just kidding. We don't make.
Just kidding. We're doing this for fun. #hobby.
All right. So next, we will be discussing the Sixers and what moves we think they should make this offseason. The first big one is get LeBron. And after you get LeBron, that's it. You don't have to make any more moves. But, I don't know. What other moves do you think they should make this offseason? God. What positions could they strengthen, I guess? They're not really lacking anywhere besides, I guess, if Markelle Fultz is broken now, that could be a problem.
So the Sixers landed the 10th pick in the draft. And here's what I think they should do.
Get LeBron.
Okay, well, I mean, you couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I mean, I don't want to be the guy making a case not to check LeBron James. I don't think that's going to end well for me. But I'm going to try to, go another direction. Because I don't think the Sixers have to do anything. I think the Sixers draft somebody with that 10th overall pick. You take the best player you can. Let's say you drafted Mikal Bridges. Somebody who can play defense, which is something I think a lot of them struggled with.
If he falls to them, then that's a great pick.
He probably won't be there, honestly. I mean, I don't want to reveal any of our mock drafts or anything. But if you can draft a player like that, I really just draft if they draft the best player on their board. Because, all right, here's a little sneak peek. We just think they should take the best player they can. They are a great team already, even with rookie year Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid being healthy for the first time in his life, and even then he broke his face somehow. Considering they won 53 games with that lineup, just take the best player. Ben Simmons is going to be even better his sophomore season. Joel Embiid
He's not a rookie though.
Anyways, Ben Simmons will be better next year. That was his first playoffs. Those were his first playoffs ever. He got out of the first round almost averaging a triple-double, and then he lost to a really good Boston team. He's going to be better. Joel Embiid is going to be better. Dario Saric, I don't think he's a free agent this year, so he will be back on the team for at least one more year, I think. So if that's the case, he theoretically should be even better. The whole team should be better. Keep all the core pieces together.
And Fultz.
And I haven't gotten to him yet. But draft the best player you can take with that 10th pick, whether it's for depth or as a starting shooting guard. I don't care. But then finally getting to the guy we mentioned a while ago that we still think is going to be a stud. Markelle Fultz, for some ungodly reason, was benched for the Celtics series, and a lot of people couldn't figure out why that was the case. And I'm just going to go out and assume that Markelle Fultz will not be a non-factor in the Sixers' next playoff series. He is. We both think he's going to be great, and he's like that. I don't even know how to correctly describe this, but I feel like he's going to come in and he's going to average 15 to 20 points as like an isolation go-to scorer when guys like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid aren't feeling it. And he's going to change the dynamic for that team. The Sixers could easily win 57 games, I think, or more next season because they didn't get anything out of Markelle Fultz. I mean, like, he's a sleeping giant on the bench. And when you add that with the number 10 pick in the draft, not to mention any free agents they do sign, which, I don't think they should. I think they should just keep this core together. But, yeah.
Yeah, you think they should re-sign J.J. Redick for that, like...
Yeah.
I think he'll settle for less than $20 million.
Yeah, well, now he knows that they're actually nasty. So, and he seems like he really enjoyed his time in Philly. So, yeah, if you can get him back for probably a cheaper deal, I would definitely do that. Marco Bellinelli also showed off well, so if they can't get him back, they should be okay with the shooting. Like, well, at least like with shooting in general.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Markelle Fultz is what they need. That's the offseason addition they need to make. Get him into the rotation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be very useful. That'd be a good move. They should definitely try playing their good players. You know.
They have a sleeping giant just sitting on their bench. They have production that they aren't playing. This is an easy one for me.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to another part of this.
Wait. So are you giving your opinion on the Sixers thing, or did I just like?
Oh, no, I already gave. I said.
Oh, that's
LeBron.
right. You said LeBron. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So moving on to another part, or the next question, which is another big part of the Sixers offseason. Do you think LeBron will stay in Cleveland?
Do you want to answer that question first, since I basically just talked for like 3 days?
I will ask that question to myself. I think, personally, with how the Celtics series is going right now, I think LeBron, if he stays on the Cavs, then it's just because he feels like he owes the city something, which he doesn't owe them anything. But like, there's no reason for him to stay besides, I don't know, trying to ram his head through a wall, which is the Boston Celtics that will have Kyrie next year and Gordon Hayward, and then having to play the Warriors or the Rockets. So if I'm him, I'm going to the 76ers because I just want to get carried by Ben Simmons. Like, just carry me home and then drop me off in the playoffs, and I'll just kill everyone. That's what I'd do if I was LeBron.
Okay. Carry me, Ben Simmons. I really look forward to the day that LeBron James is asking Ben Simmons to carry him. But anyways, LeBron James is not staying with Cleveland. That is my opinion. I'm sorry to all the Cavs fans, but he ruined your team by trying to play GM, by not letting the professionals do their job. And you have no right for... Okay, so first, I'm just going to say this. Cavs fans, even if you agree with me, even if you think LeBron did ruin your team by making horrible trades, by signing all his friends to like $20 million per year seasons or deals, you cannot blame LeBron James for anything because he is literally your city. If he leaves, you do not burn his jersey. He has earned more than the right. He could honestly tell you all to piss off, and you should just still like kiss his feet. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
But no, he's not staying, and he's not staying because he ruined your team, and you can be sad about that. But there better not be like any more like, oh, we gotta burn his jersey. He's a pacha. This then, like, no, he made the Cavs. No one would give any craps about the Cavs if LeBron James were not there. If LeBron James were not there, Kyrie Irving would still be winning 20 games a season. So, please, Cavs fans, LeBron, I don't even know where he's going. I love super teams. I think they're fun to watch, and I would hope they go to Houston because I think that would be lit.
The Rockets. I was just going to ask you, do you think there's any options besides the 76ers? Because I haven't really heard of much besides them.
Yeah, I've heard some people mention the Rockets because, like, you know, it's a loaded team that would be, like, made to fight with the Warriors. And I think that would be amazing. I know people hate super teams, but could you imagine the Rockets with LeBron James going up against the Warriors and Kevin Durant? Oh, my God, that would be, like...
that'd be crazy.
I mean, I'd look more forward to that than LeBron and the Sixers. That's, oh my God, just thinking about that. But I can't. it's just going to be really interesting because I think it's inevitable at this point watching the team that he built just get throttled, even though he had a 40-point triple-double in the second game by this Celtics team that's at like 50% strength. Like, it's clear as day he can't win here. With the Celtics getting better next year, like he's playing as well as he's ever played, and he can't carry them to victories. So I'm pretty sure this is it for him. Not to mention the Warriors would spank them if they got to the finals. Well, I mean, the Warriors will spank everyone, but I mean, like, I thought LeBron could carry them through the finals if he had to this year. But just watching the Celtics play with him and his team makes me realize that he GM'd them into the abyss, and I don't think there's any way out of it for LeBron other than leaving.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that you have thoroughly destroyed all Cavs fans' hope of having a future, I think that'll wrap up our first podcast. Let us know if you liked it in the comments. If you have any suggestions, let us know there. And like the video if you enjoyed it. And we'd also like to thank all the subscribers. Like, it's been crazy just watching the numbers steadily climb. Like, I remember when we had like 3 subs and it was only me, Brendan, and Basil. And now we have 175. Like, I mean, that's crazy.
I remember the time where we had 5 subs and 3/5 of those were maybe the people who run the channel.
Yeah, that was a struggle. But we're going to wrap it up here. We don't want to keep you guys watching too long. I'm sure you guys are all still here. So, thanks for watching.
They're an hour, and I think they can afford to
true.
Listen for another 30 seconds. But yeah, I just want to quickly say, you guys, like, I mean, he just said it. I'm going to say it in my own words, though. Waking up every morning, and I will say this now probably in every outro, but waking up every morning and watching that sub count increasingly go up exponentially every day is so motivating, and you guys have no idea how much it means to both of us. And we're going to keep trying to make the best content we can, which is why we really do want you to leave your feedback, leave anything we can do to improve our videos. Let us know, because like, we're doing this for you. We really like making content for you guys. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And unless Cameron has anything to say, we will see you on the next video.
I actually have a very important comment.
Okay.
Do you guys want to comment down below any names that we should give our subs? Brendan had one idea. I don't know if he wants to tell it now or if it's going to be a secret.
You know what? I might see if our guys have anything creative first.
200 subscriber special. We'll reveal the name.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. 200 subscribers. When we hit 200, maybe that's when we'll announce the name for our subs, or for anyone who supports us, really.
All right. I think that'll wrap it up. You want to wrap it up?
I mean, it sounds good. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next video.